this? This is our 2014 Scion FR-S, and in case you're new to my channel, this is actually my wife's car. If I'm a good boy, she lets me drive it a little bit. So with most Japanese cars, we usually think of cars that are logical and really well thought out. Not always the most exciting, but at least everything just kind of makes sense. But the FR-S definitely has a few exceptions to that rule, so I'm going to go over those in this video. So the first weird thing about this car is actually the cup holders, and I already know what you're thinking. Okay, another dumb American complaining about cup holders in a car, but these are just so bizarre that we can't not talk about them. So the cup holders are actually this tray that's fully removable. I'm not sure why you would ever want to take this out, maybe to wash it inside your house or something, but you have the option to take this out if you want. But it's weird because it doesn't actually snap into the car, it doesn't Velcro or anything, it just kind of rests in here. And there's little grooves on the back that line up with grooves in here, so you could actually change the position. You could have it further back, you could scoot it up, but again, I'm not sure what the point of that is, so it's kind of weird that this thing is removable. And then an unfortunate design thing with it being here in the center is there's no armrest in this car. So on longer road trips, you're gonna find yourself putting your elbow here in the cup holder. It's really awkward, it's really uncomfortable. And I actually checked online, there's actually companies that sell aftermarket armrests that fit in this spot. And you can even get genuine Toyota armrests for this car, which kind of tells me that probably somebody at Toyota higher up bought one of these and realized, hey, maybe we need to sell some armrests for this thing. So kind of weird, little quirk right there is these removable cup holder trays. Another kind of weird design thing with this car is the fact that there's no trunk latch. So let's say you've got your arms full of groceries, you just want to be able to reach out and open the trunk. You can't do it because there's no latch there. The option is to either go inside the car and open the trunk that way, which who would ever do that, or you kind of have to fish around in your pocket for the key and just hold the trunk thing down for a couple seconds and open the trunk that way. But there's no actual latch here on the trunk. Now, it's not completely uncommon for cars not to have a latch there. Sometimes just to keep with a certain design aesthetic, they want the back to be clean with nothing on it, so a latch just wouldn't make sense. But I'm kind of curious because on this car, if you look under here, there's actually a blank spot where a latch probably could have gone, but for whatever reason, they just decided not to give us one. So I understand that this is like a sports car. It's not really meant for transporting people. But they did put 2 seats back here. There are technically 2 seat belts, so on paper it would kind of lead you to believe that this could be a 4-seat car, but this car without question has the worst rear seat legroom of any car. In fact, it's actually non-existent. If you were to put the front seats in the far back position, the back of the seat actually makes contact with the bench. I've never seen anything like that. You wouldn't even be able to sit back here even if you wanted to. You'd actually have to sit in like a kneeling position. I've never seen that before. I guess if you absolutely had to, you could make it work, you know, if you had these seats up a little bit. There's a guy that lives in this complex who sometimes we see him driving his kids to school in the morning, so he's got his 2 young kids in the back seat. So I guess if you're like a die-hard fan of this platform, the 86 platform, and you had to have one of these, you could technically make it work if you needed to, but just consider this as a 2-seat car. So remember what I was saying earlier in the video about Japanese cars usually being pretty well thought out, pretty logical. This one right here still has me scratching my head a little bit, and that is the fact that there's no way for the user to manually reset the tire pressure. So you might fill up your tires, but the little light on the dashboard will still stay on, the little low pressure warning light, and in some cases you might actually have to go to the dealership to get that reset. So that's really bizarre. I looked all over here for a button. Usually a lot of cars will have a reset button that you hold down and it'll kind of synchronize all the tires to the new pressure. I actually had to consult the owner's manual, and what do you know, on page 308, I can't even make this up, adjust the tire inflation pressure to the specified level. The light will turn off after a few minutes. In case the light does not turn off, even if the tire inflation pressure is adjusted, have the system checked by your local Scion dealer. Now to me, that kind of sounds like a page right out of BMW's playbook. You know, you have to go get your car coated just because you put air in the tires, but actually on the BMW that process is really easy. It's just a couple clicks within the iDrive menu, but on this car apparently you might have to go to the dealership just because you put air in the tires. Now because of that, I was actually driving with that light on for about a month, and the day that I decided to go to the tire shop to have that reset, magically the light just went off. It's almost like it read my mind or something. So very bizarre. that you can't just manually adjust that. You can't turn that light off. I've even seen on the forums people have gone so far as to take their dashboard apart and actually take that little LED off of the little circuit board back there. So kind of a weird oversight in my opinion that they wouldn't have a button to make that a little bit easier. So this next one isn't so much of a quirk, but more of a complaint, and I think that this goes for a lot of modern cars, is these crunched speedometers where it doesn't quite go all the way around, so everything is kind of crunched into this space. And if you look at it, it goes to 160. Well, as far as what I researched, the top speed of this car is only about 143, so this is a lot of wasted space right here. Most roads in the US, the fastest that you're going to be able to go is 70, maybe 75, so even if you were speeding and doing 80, this whole area is just wasted and it's all kind of compressed into this little area. So for your regular commute to work where you're just on 45-mile-an-hour roads, you're only using this tiny little sliver here at the bottom. So for me, I just use this one right here. This is like a digital readout, and this is a lot better in my opinion. So for me, this whole speedometer is just kind of a waste of space. So one last little bonus quirk here is that this car is a Scion, which in North America we remember as Toyota's sort of hipster millennial brand that they tried out for a few years. And while this car was developed in a partnership between Toyota and Subaru, the car itself is actually manufactured fully by Subaru in one of their factories. So this is, despite the Scion badges, despite the Toyota development, this is basically a Subaru, and if you look inside, you look at like the inside of the metal panels, the stickers on the car, everything on it says Subaru. It's kind of a weird piece of trivia that you can bring up and annoy people with at your next car meet. Katie and I love this car despite its quirks. There's just something about it that makes us smile every time we drive it. It's not the fastest and it lacks some modern technology like a trunk latch. But at the end of the day, it's got a personality that makes us fight over the keys every morning. Thanks for watching, give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one.